we're going to do that's I got money. I'll be able to share round of life. I want to let my other panel with themselves. Thank you so much for that. Hello. So another motion is how to believe that the proposal actively what is something taking your assessment on other people. I like to call the first
Kak, trigger warningnya tuh udah mau di, kalau misalnya ada trigger warning, apakah aku bakal trigger warningnya di sini di count juga atau enggak? Oh enggak. Okay. Well, for trigger warning, maybe this case that I want to talk is very sensitive for some people. So, yeah, starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment where we talk about the beauty of individuals, then what does it tell you since the very first place is that no matter how you are, you deserve everything good, and that's why we're very proud to propose this motion. Well, why is this motion? Why is this motion is like exist? Is like because there's like cases is happening on status quo, which is like the stigmatization or like those beauty privilege that this exists on status quo that we're strongly not support this. Well, let me define something for you panels first. The center, well, it means that there is no like situation of center and like special privilege for some people just because like how they look. And second, the influence, it means that there's something like being called or like being asking for it for those influence. Well, thirdly and finally, the beauty. Well, of course, as I mentioned to you earlier, that beauty is universal, and all creators are have their beauty itself. Well, so that's why our goal here is simple. We simply want the equality is exist and want effective a bad thing on status quo at the end of all. Well, how we're going to do some panels first? We will do like a collaboration with celebgrams or like those influencer or this Instagram and those social media to like spread out more about why is it good to like why is it good to actively decenter this beauty assessment of for everyone. Because of what? Because like it is good to begin with. For example, do an endorsement about some product that being called like no makeup look, for example, like because like it can show you the flaws that you have in your face, right? Well, it is good to begin with, ladies and gentlemen. Well, for preemption, so physician cannot just say about like it is fine because like we have to like for example this assumption for everyone are like for screening now, for example. Well, they cannot bring this because like we think that this is very weak since the very first place. Well, they have to prove that under their side equality or will still exist and won't creating another bad impact to the society at the end of all. Well, I will talk about the why is justified in more later in my second speaker video. We'll talk about the impact, and our third speaker will strengthen our argument. Well, first argument done. Why is it justified? Ladies and gentlemen, we see status quo, the beauty are universal, right? As I mentioned to you earlier, as like Selena Gomez are like having a song called "Who Says" on her song itself. Well, what does it tell you? It tells you that every beauty it's fine and normal since the first place. So when it comes with the idea of letting beauty as assessment to other people are bad to begin with, and we're so not supporting this. And why is that? Well, two layers of argument. First, the idea of why is it better to not see people by their beauty of or like their look. Panels, we can see in status quo what happening is that when you're when for example when you entering a high school, for example, almost everyone are having a thoughts of to only like be friends to the with the pretty one, for example. What does it tell you, ladies and gentlemen? It tells you that there's a stigma, there's like a stigma or like stigmatization inside society, because like they only want to be friends with the pretty one, with the handsome one, and etc. So that's why it is like not good to begin with. Because of what? Because like there's some people that will feel like left out because like there's no one there are no one to be friends with them, right? So what does it tells you, ladies and gentlemen? It tells you that the idea of like why it's better to not see people but their beauty or like their look is like completely fine, and that is and that is how status quo supposed to be, because we don't want any vulnerable actor to be like harmed on this case. So we want there is no stigmatization of like how just by simple how you are look. So at the end of all, the vulnerable actor are will be protected under our side, and the possibility of on their side are not going to happen. Uh, second idea then. Second idea is that the idea of it is harming the vulnerable actor. As I mentioned to you earlier, ladies and gentlemen, well, if we talk about a beauty assessment, then of course we also have to consider how it will harming the vulnerable actor, which is the society. And we believe that this is the vulnerable actor. We want a better status quo, which everything are in there are like having their peace, right? Like there's no war, for example, like war in social media or like war in real life itself. Well, what does it mean then? It means that under our side, this vulnerable actor will be protected on how, because there's equality on society. There's no more situation like assessment other people by their beauty or like by how they look, because it can cause many bad impact which we don't want this to be happen since the very first place. Well, let's talk first about the beauty privilege. Well, of course, beauty privilege are the most common thing that happen on status quo right now, right? As I mentioned to you earlier, that is completely harming the society. And why? Because like there's a gap, there's like social gap between the what people think pretty and those like the society think they're not, right? Well, this gap are harming because this can make the other people feel harmed and hurt by what sector, ladies and gentlemen? For example, like a mental health and this mental health disorder, we can see on social media they're almost like everyone are like are like come with the idea of mental disorder when they're talking about the beauty, about a beauty, right? For example, we can see on Jenny Blackpink, she has the condition of anxiety, and why is that happen on her? It is because the burden that she has from her friends, because like they think that she's not enough on to being an idol, for examples. And what does it tell you, ladies and gentlemen? It tells you that this is very wrong and cannot be taken, because like it can harming the society and the vulnerable actor itself. Well, second, for example, another example on @beauty by Audi in Instagram. Well, we believe that we can see that on status quo, she is like a makeup beauty creator, right? Well, when everyone see her, what actually happened is that her talent as like makeup artist are like hinders because of society think that she's not that pretty, and this is completely wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Because of what? Because like there's a possibility of a talent of everyone, of individual talents are will like be hidden and cannot be shown up, because like how do you look? Imagine how isn't it bad panel since the very first place? Well, it is completely what we don't want and on on-site proposition since the very first place. And we believe that this cannot be reached under site oppositions, because like we believe that they still want this center. They still want this center, or those be the privilege are still exist under their side of the house, right? So if they can't prove to you that their side is better, because like there's like equality still exists, and those like left out people are not going to happen under their side, so they have to lose the debate. Well, after all those reasons, peace can be reached on the proposition side. We're very proud to propose.
How is it
Firstly, to review the first speaker, I will, one of our arguments will contain a rebuttal. To review the first speaker, I will go on. So I will start. Now, I will start directly arguing. Now, first impression is everything. Why is that? Because it back again at the chicken and egg problem. Now it is obvious that you can't bring judgment in hindsight when you've not even seen the subject yet, and when you do so in an instant manner, in the same millisecond that you've seen that person. If I were to walk up to you, if and if I were to walk up to you, to a person, and then, of course, impression exists the millisecond I saw them, and I can't judge them based on personality in hindsight, because again, that's a grand act to do on strangers, and that's obviously creepy. Say my standard to how I assess a person is purely by their personality, if they have the same interests as mine, and then I would go on to a person, hey man, do you like modeling financial statements in Excel? I think that's pretty great, don't you think? And of course, obviously it's not natural. So it's naturally convenient that we unfortunately or fortunately have to base again a person based on beauty just because of first impression. And then second, to reboot the first speaker's statement, is that beauty as a standard is not standardized. They have differentiated standards, because to respond to the first speakers, Instagrammers, those that uses Instagram, pressuring themselves to follow social media beauty trends and standards, isn't that technically their fault for expecting themselves to not be themselves? Because you may argue the opposite. The government may argue that this will marginalize people for being not beautiful enough to not conform to the same standard. But people have different standards when it comes to beauty. And either way, that meant everyone can be beautiful in their own way. Some people like slit eyes, some like double and triple eyelids, and so on and so forth. Again, eventually, marginalized people are marginalized because they let themselves submit to certain incompatible beauty standards. One specific example is how a girl in China pressured herself to be so slim by starving herself just to condone to the absurd expectation of her boyfriend. And I think, isn't there a lot of fishes in the sea? Okay, so I will stop now. Thank you.
Now, this one second speaker speaker.
I'll start my speech at the 3, 2. So the reminder folder is my opportunity that we although make it out of all concern that we want to make it sort of giving the evidence or give the impact when these decentralizations of the influence of the beauty, using the beauty as the standard to assessment of the people. What are we gonna be happen when the whole of the society is not using anymore the beauty as the one of their standardizations to assess some of the faults of the people? We see these what for that we have to make it sound. These are all called as a shifting of the society spectrum side. And this is a main argumentation that we want to deliver us into the new overview and how to rate someone. We didn't use the beauty anymore for our core any standard to assess some of the person. We're looking for the other things that we come more objectively to assess what or something to decide how this advantage of this was a detriment. So every expectations of our mind in the form it become closer with our eyes is become more objective. Then we use the standardizations about the beauty that's become more and more subjective thing. So I've given some very beautiful that either say that we cannot assess something that we not ever saw what is kindly subject I think it will become analyzing like this, that you hearing something without you ever saw himself. Did you can able to make sort of objectification about this something, before did you ever saw that himself. You can force to imagine it to your house. Oh, I hear from all the people that he was a good person. He was like this. He was like this. He do it like this. So you not to use that all the subjectivity that you use, have to use the truly drawing to for the picture, just to make the identification of the someone. And if the beauty standard, it's become wider. But in the sum of the point, the major of the people or maybe most of the all people are agree with all the standardifications without any. They realize that they're being already agree without the point. It will become like this. If you have to make it sort of comparisons, like one of the actress that you said, oh, this is a beautiful, but the standardization is wider. But if the comparison between the two actors, you will say the both of they are all beautiful. You not ever make it the standardizations what the kind of the beautiful aspects that you have a concept of power to mind. And when all the peoples are already shifting from the overview to using beauty from that influencing of their assessment of the other people, more the people will become comfortable when they're make it a context with the others. They become confident to make conversation with the others. So they open their already self. So this is this is for clearly that we recognizing what their effort supposed to be for the released also from their any backside. So when it being achieved, for the also the impact, these are the nobles into these are nobles about the ethics about for the humanities. These are the humanity confessions. Why is it happening, and why we support these decentralizations? Some of the pretexts said that we pretexting that we're becoming now. We have to the decentrifying this using the decentrifying the beauty to from the assess of the one person. When we can almost all of this is the morality. It's the impacting to the morality and how to design of the ethic. When we saw that every peoples are equal, released of just free from our thoughtless thinking to mind about how they saw the beauty, how the beauty standardization that we put on them, we saw that them as the equal person. So we not make it a standardization about the other, how to we make it races to them. We simply that we saw that every peoples at the same condition and the terms, and how to that we have to make it a treatment with them, and how do we communicate with them, and how it's all approaching that as what with them. So then when we saw that this, if the opposition side that cannot be become the realizations of the major community, we saw that like this. There is some of the hint that we can exploit it in the form of a human. The community is therefore we follow if there's the sum of the major people that were adapted in the same of the points of way. If they agree with the sum of the point of truth, many of the people who become to follow what is thinking about the forward of his mind. And for the sort of belief that when all of it being accepted, we open another overview and we open the more objectively standardization about what we want to spectralize one of a person. Such we not to see more from what is the beauty of what comes from himself. We not a sort of beauty and that came from what he presenting to the also people. We see that more maybe that for the become the inner core that fights how he think, how they're solving a problem, how he face that for any odds of himself. So everything that you see, it's become real. It's not just what he's holding in the for the person that in the part of the people that we cannot make it sure what he's want to representing at for the also at the true actual means. And another one of the importances is when we use the beauty to make it as to become the standardization about our asset of a person. The beauty is not representing that someone's it become the actual form. It's not become the actual view, because the beauty is just that we sought in that we highlighted in this something that's only good thing that come from the other from that person. We didn't consider anything that came from another forces along with other person like us. So we just see, oh, this have the good faces, this is have the good attitude, this have the good ethics, but it will be measurables that when we all this when we suddenly we see that he due to something detriment that will be ruin for all of our imagination, that well we have to suffer all of our imagination, that we see that oh the person is good, but why does he do this? This is not a this is beauty. This is beauty, right? This have the good. This is good, right? But when we see that false, the detriment is will become ruin for all the cost of imaginations. And so why that because that we supporting that the center of the influence of beauty affecting the assessment to the or other people. So we not use the beauty as the standardizations anymore, and the beauty is not influences again or to become the most influenced again that we make to assess another people. It will have to change it in the society. So the society is more acceptable, and the society is more it's more enjoying happiness to accept every person despite of all the every things that we have to speak a lot. So because of that, I proudly stand to propose these motions. Thank you.
Okay, so my speech begin in 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm gonna revert the first speaker first. So the first speaker is actually talk about the beauty privilege, but the beauty privilege is gonna be controlled, like it came with you naturally when you are born, and when you have a good individual face. But beauty privilege can also go on if you have a good if you don't have a good personality, and people will likely do not standardization you as a beauty anymore, and eventually the majority people will hate you if you don't have any if you just have like a beauty privilege but you don't have a good personality. And let's move to my first argument. With a beauty, we could make a new relation, because with a beauty, we can easily make a new friends, a new relationship, and because we have like a same favor. Like if you're smart at the competition, and people will easily recognize you and will likely come to you because you share the same interest as people like same as you. And not just being smart but also physical beauty could also make you have make new friends and join to a community. Like if you have a jack body, and it will make you be, and it will make majority people becoming more interested to you. And and it also implies to us if we want like like share same interest with him, and we could talk to him, like we could uh, uh, make friends to him. And also first impression, like the first speaker said, it's important because it's our natural reaction by seeing a new person, and we cannot control it because it's the first time we see on a person. And we have a good individual beauty, like if you like if you see someone who you never see, and you cannot hate me because if you have a beauty privilege, of course, I expect you to be a beauty in a good way. Like come on, bro, it cannot be controlled. Like like it's can't be controlled. And I think that is enough. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for the opportunity, panels. Now I am, as the third speaker of the proposition team, would strongly and firmly believe that this House believes that individuals should actively decenter the influence of beauty in affecting their assessment on other people. Now, before I start my speech, I would like to talk again about what the opposition has said on their speech. Now, they have talked about first impression is everything. However, panels, judging someone by their beauty on a first impression is a false move from the very first start. Obviously, how can we just judge someone from the first impression when we do not know what they are in a person in real life? How can we know someone is really good if they're just good looking as a person? This is obviously a false argument from the start. And that they also talked about that beauty doesn't matter if you don't have the personality either. However, on the real world, there is a talk about Isabel Guzman. How about Isabel Guzman? Panels, if you do not know the case of Isabel Guzman, let me explain. So she explainably killed her mother, but then she smiled at the camera and the people liked her. So what I'm trying to say is that her personality obviously is off the records. She killed her mother. Can you imagine that, panel? She killed her mother, but then people still like her. People still love her. The mass still love her because she's pretty. This is why the pretty privilege is real. Now, this is also why we should not overlook someone but by their beauty, because we do not know, again, we do not know what this person has if we just only judge someone by their looks. Now, moving on to my first speaker. My first speaker said that about the status quo. Hopping into the new dynamic might be super dramatic. Like my first speaker have said that like hopping to a new high school in a new dynamic, in a new environment, and that you feel so out of the place. But then the other students in this high school would only befriend you if you were attractive enough. Like, especially when the mass would only want you to be friends with them if you are attractive enough. See how real the pretty privilege is? Now, this pretty privilege could also affect one's mental health. So, again, we are going to talk about mental health. The mental health that has affected one person because of this pretty privilege is maybe this body dysmorphia, or maybe anxiety, the realism of anxiety, like my first speaker have said, that they feel like they're not good enough and they're overthinking it because they feel like they're not good enough because people tell them they're not good enough, and that is why the pretty privilege is so real and that we have to help abolish them. And then the body dysmorphia. Body dysmorphia is a mental health that you feel like you don't know how ideal your body is, how our body is ideal enough to the other people. This mental health problems could also be very serious to the people, panels. So this is why the pretty privilege can actually affect one's mental health, that they could make them feel not good enough of themselves. They feel insecure.
This again and again, this insecurity, the phrase of insecurity is very familiar on this matter panels because it is very talked in this motion. Now, the feeling of excluded is also real since especially if I'm just feel like, oh, I feel like I'm not good enough because I'm not pretty enough, and then I might exclude myself from this one particular society because I feel like I'm not in the same rank as them, or I'm not in the same prettiness of them, I'm not in the same attractiveness, and we might exclude ourselves from the society, or even society might exclude ourselves from the society itself. Now, this is how pretty privilege is affecting everyone. So, as my second speaker have said that we have to like shift the society spectrum side, right? So we have to remind ourselves again that shifting our judgment into something more valuable than just to view this one perspective from their looks, because then we will inevitably fail to judge someone if our judging criteria is only by the beauty itself. So what I'm trying to say is we have to focus on any other aspects of life rather than just to look at someone's beauty and we feel like, oh, that girl is beautiful, oh, that man is very handsome, and that we want to befriend them or whatsoever in every circumstances. We cannot do that. We have to shift our perspective into any other aspects, such as, oh, maybe I could befriend her because I feel like her personality is so much common than I do. So we have to shift one's perspective into another. We have to judge someone less by the beauty and more on the other aspects of life. This is why we lead to the next argument to my second speaker, that the noble humanity confession. So we have to, again and again, I have to reemphasize that we have to focus on many other aspects of perspecting one's person, like personality and efficiency of work. We cannot just judge them because they're pretty and that, oh, they've done the work well. They have done an amazing job on outcoming in the society because they're pretty or because they're attractive enough. We cannot do that, ladies and gentlemen, because we have to focus more on the person itself instead of the looks. Now, also, the clashes between the two proposition and opposition is that, as I quite catch from the opposition team, they quite fail to understand the motion, and that they feel like the beauty standard creates body dysmorphia. So they fail to understand the motion. Moreover, it feels like they agree to the idea and they agree to our idea and justifies them panels. So I feel like the opposition also agree to us by saying that beauty standard is very real and pretty privilege is very real also, that we have to make them less from the society. We have to decenter the influence of beauty in affecting people's assessment of other people. They feel like the opposition side also feels like body dysmorphia thing is also a bad thing. That they feel like they agree to our ideas. They fill into our ideas that they feel like beauty doesn't matter, and that they have to focus on any other aspects of life. And that is why us as the proposition team would strongly and firmly proud to propose. Thank you. If the government thinks the beauty in conditions mean that's only about their look, it's actually not related to the characterizations that we have. Beauty in our side means that not only about physically, but the beauty could also define the smart sides, the things that could make people attract to you as individuals, and how they could realize your existence is by the beauty itself. Now imagine if we define the beauty as physically, we all know how it will create people to recognize your existence well, like you will be approached by them first, and beauty as physically also make this individual get easier to build the connections with each other, which beneficial for these individuals, especially when their life after graduates. While we define the meaning of beauty could also, it means like they are pretty smart. In fact, it is more valuable because the assumptions of these individuals that the people think that they are pretty smart, and these other people will try to build connection with them because maybe they are interested by their ideas, how they think, or maybe some of employers that meet them is like excited to take a contract with them because they can make changes to improvement of this company as well, which is very beneficial to the person who have this kind of beauty. And secondly, we all know realize that not everyone is born with this kind of beauty, which in fact maybe some other feels that is unfair. Some lucky person is born with this beauty as physically nor with brain. But when you realize that you don't have them both, the things that you should do here is to improve yourself first. Some of you might think that even not pretty, even if I do all my stuff, my body, nobody will love me. In fact, it's actually depending on how people perspective to you. Like we never stated to you that it means we prioritize the beauty, but what we are trying to say in here is how this beauty is in underlying still a needed component through their life. And then when you realize that you don't have a beauty as physically, then try to learn, try to improve yourself, try and improve yourself to the others. Let them know how exactly you work, and you still can change the perceptions of the others to you by showing the values of yourself. The definitions of beauty could be so many things, depends on how people define it. And thirdly, the importance of this topic is about how exactly what they can do with beauty privilege, which we already explained. But by that you can do this thing to support your own life. Realize that beauty as physically in our case is not the things that we prioritize. The main interest from the government on only knowing the beauty by their looks, but forget that we already explained by our previous speakers that how beauty is important, but the main thing that the people will judge from you is how exactly what you think. Well, when the government only mentioned by the beauty as look is the only thing that people will judge, like they bring some examples like how Jennie Blackpink got anxiety from the other people without knowing that maybe there's a lot of reason instead of the beauty in question, because some idols can get hate speech from their fans simply because they don't work well as the fans expected to be. And that is why we always say to you that when if this beauty is still needed, but we never say that to prioritize this towards the other. The government is to generalize their main point and not knowing the true reasons of these problems. And under our side, there will be still equality to exist. Because, for example, the acts that people do by this beauty as physically would be the same if only you can make the people realize your existence. That is why, when you realize you're not good in something, you should prove to the society, even if with this weakness, you can still show them your values of yourself and change the perspective of people to you itself. And under our side, beauty is still needed because there's some type of job that the worker should have a look that could attract people, because that is their work. As the beauty standard mentions by the government only saying about how the different standards of beauty with each other, and they never explain how exactly the limitations of the standard in questions. And also the government also stated that beauty not showing the actual person. No, thank you. Which is why we've always taught you how you should to prove your files of yourself, and not only depending on your rules. The government misinterpret our meaning, which we only said that beauty as still needed to do things. We're already proved to you how exactly this beauty can use in many things, but not used as the main things to judge a personal living.
like first impression is neat because you want to meet someone. You should at least properly and show your best looks at least to improve the people interest in you. And also the pretty privilege in case of government, they saying that when this individual kills someone and people forgive them, which the case that told by government should give a more provable examples, because there's a lot of people that considered as pretty is not getting forgivable by public because what they did, like the example given by government, isn't irrelevant with this case. And somehow it feels like the government keep avoiding the fact that we also stated a person should also have their own files, not only the pretties. And if we're talking about harm mental issue when you say someone pretty, but somehow in the status quo right now, these pretty people can also be inspiration to some of the people to have, like in example, the same style like them, which actually the insecurities people have can be solved if only these people not focusing on other people's beauty standards. So proud to oppose.
So much for the question
Jury, adjudicators, and panelists. We brought up the fact that beauty is ambiguous because individuals have different definitions, different opinions, of which somehow is countered by them setting and arguing about standardization. Of course, we can't change beauty standards because it's not like ISO or SNE. Say ISO 3940 that defines beautiful as having a lot of WhatsApp stickers. No, of course not. Besides, they acknowledge that about standardizations, which affirms the very fact that beauty is ambiguous. Therefore, that is natural for human beings having differentiated beauty standards. We also imply that that first impression exists because it's instantaneous. It happens instantaneously because it's what makes us naturally human. Homo sapiens, of course, obviously have some sort of survival instincts, which goes back to one of the key components, first impression. Thank you.
Okay. Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, we are strongly believe that the opposition side of the House are strongly have to lose the debate since the very first place. Well, now let's talk about their weaknesses on this debate, right? First, they fail to understand the debate by how they're actually arguing about beauty standard are not good to begin with. Well, isn't it? They're like agree with our side, ladies and gentlemen. It is said by their first speaker itself. Well, we think that this cannot be taken. And second, their case is not tangible. There's no urgency on their case by how they're actually tackled our case that the beauty privilege are nonsense without good behavior that already also being tackled down by our third speaker. Well, third, they're not answering to our BOP and they're not engaging to our speech, ladies and gentlemen. By also we already tackled the idea about the first impression for like screening, for example, and in our preemptive, right? Well, we believe that they failed to understand the debate by this. Well, fourthly and finally, we see they're bringing the like all the main cases in their third speaker, and we believe that this is too late and cannot be taken. Judges, please note that. Well, now let's see why is proposition is better. First, we clearly explain to you why is it like justified and it is like fine to begin with, right? In our previous speaker is trying to told you about the example that is literally tangible and happening in status quo. For example, like those examples that we're mentioning you about. Well, second, under our side, we give you clear mechanism that can help and do and like do like being the status quo better, right? To review again, we do a collaboration with those famous people to spread out those positive things about being yourself. Well, now let's see the clashes that is happening on this debate. First, which side is over a better status quo? Panels inside proposition world, the society peace are achieved and reached because there's equality between society, right? In comparison, under opposition world, the situation are not going to be happen because they feel okay with those with those beauty standard and those beauty privilege that is happening under their side. Well, now let's see what is the motion interest on this debate. First, the motion want a better world where the society are having their peace, right? Like there's no stigmatization that can be a harm thing for society, and it is what actually we're trying to what is actually we're trying to explain to you, ladies and gentlemen. Please engage with our previous speaker and note that on our previous speaker. In conclusion, the proposition side is more better since the very first place because we offer a better outcome at the end of all, and the opposition are not cannot be taken on this debate. And after all those reasons, please can be reached under our proposition proud to propose.
Thank you so much for the nice speaker and the speaker of the debate. Thank you so much everyone. Once again, this is Alan Brown.